All right, so this is 2.6. I'm going to save all of these proofs for you on the front page. Those are good practice. Everyone always asks, can I have more proof questions? These are the more proof questions that I want you to do. All of these proofs are proving these types of questions or these types of things on the right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you the definition. One big thing that I'm going to mention to you right now is this needs all four of these things on the right side need to make their way to your proof reasons sheet. All four of them need to make their way to the proof reasons sheet. They're pretty straightforward, but you need to add them there, okay? Because these are the words you're going to use, like right angle congruence theorem. Those are the words you're going to use on proofs. What this means, this is a really fancy way of saying all right angles are congruent. All right angles are congruent. So what this means is all right angles are the exact same, because all right angles are 90 degrees, right? And if all right angles are 90 degrees, that means they are all the same. So that means all right angles will be congruent. So if you prove at some point that two things are right angles, if I said that angle A is a right angle, and if I said that angle B is a right angle, then you would be able to say angle A equals angle B because of the right angle congruence theorem. So you'd be able to say that. If you were saying that two angles are right angles, you'd be able to say that those two angles are equal to each other. Okay? So moving on to the next thing. The next one, they kind of are the same. So these are kind of the same thing. So we're going to do 2 and 1 here. But what this means is, and this is kind of a tricky one to wrap your brain around. It means an angle that is congruent to an angle. Actually, hang on. Let me rewrite this. I'm going to rewrite it in different words. If angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. So I'm saying if angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary, which means angle 1 plus angle 2 equal 180. So that's what that means. And angle 1 is congruent to angle 3, then angle 2 and angle 3 are supplementary. Now I'm going to explain that. So if that doesn't make sense, that's okay. But what this means, it means if two angles add up to 180 degrees, okay, that's what you start with. Two angles add up to 180 degrees. And we know, if we also know that angle 1 is congruent to some other angle, I would be able to replace this here. So I would also be able to say that angle 2 and angle 3 add up to 180 degrees. So if you think about what this means on a picture, what this would look like on a picture. If I have an angle, okay, and I say this is angle 1 and this is angle 3, okay? Now I'm telling you, if I tell you that angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent to each other, we would put those marks there. We can obviously see that this angle here and this angle here will add up to 180 degrees, right? Angle 1 and angle 2 would add up to 180 degrees. Those are the exact same, right? Or they add up to 180. I also know that angle 2 and angle 3 add up to 180 degrees, right? So angle 2 and angle 3 add up to 180 degrees. Since these two angles are the exact same, it makes sense that both of those angles will add up to 180. Does anyone have any questions about that? Because that's kind of a tricky one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So could you go back up to the top one first? Right angle congruence theorem. So it would basically be that it's basically saying that all angles are right angles
No.
inside the question.
Nope. It is saying that all right angles are the same exact thing. All right angles are all 90 degrees, which means that they are all the same. Only right angles, not all angles, only right angles.
And for the second one, it's basically you're proving that one angle equals 180. So, yeah.
I'm proving that two angles added up equal 180. See, if you look here, I'm saying that angle 1 and angle 2 add up to 180, and I'm also saying angle 2 and angle 3, add up to 180. Okay, I'm going to rewrite the next thing, which is the exact same wording and the exact same reasoning, and everything is the exact same as this one, except the word is going to be complementary instead of supplementary. Remember, complementary means 90 degrees. So I'm going to write the exact same thing. And then I'll put over here the kind of reason or what it might look like. Okay, does anyone have any questions on that? Same exact thing as the other one. All right, so let's go through the last one.
Could you go back so I can see what it looks like?
Yep. Let me know when you're good.
Do you have like a diagram of it, or like a drawing of it?
So if you have a right angle like this, and let's say that I have an angle like this, and then I have to have another angle that's the exact same, so maybe one like this. It's saying that this would be angle 1 right here. This would be angle 2, sorry, nope, that would be angle 3. And then this right here would be angle 2. Now, I'm saying that angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent to each other, which means that they're the same, right? So angle 1 and angle 2 are the same. But if you look at this, we could see that angle 2, so I'm gonna erase this in just a second. But if we look at angle 2 and angle 3 being added together, this angle and this angle, notice how they make a 90-degree angle, right? Those two angles make a 90-degree angle. If I look at the other one, angle 1 and angle 2, those also make a 90-degree angle. So it's just saying that if two things add up to 90 degrees like this, but they're congruent to each other, then that means the other two things also add up to 90 degrees. Okay, I want to run through the next one real quick so that way we can make sure. This one's an easy one. This is just saying that all vertical angles are congruent. Now what that means, vertical angles, if you remember, vertical angles are angles that are across from each other. So notice how on all of these I'm drawing like an X. The angles that are across from each other, notice how they always look the same. All of these angles are congruent to each other. because of the vertical angle congruence theorem. Notice how they all look the same. Anytime that an angle is across from another angle, they are the same. Any questions on this one? All right. So now what I want to do, oops, that's the wrong one. Now what I want to do is I just kind of want to talk through these, because these are not really proofs. These are your ability to solve things, okay? So what I want to do is I just kind of want to think, I want to look through a couple of these ones right here, and we'll go through the easier ones, and then tomorrow we'll go through some more of the tricky ones, because I want to give you a little bit of time to try some stuff. So let's go through some of the ones down here, and I want you to just kind of think, okay? I want you to kind of think about what's going on, all right? So just thinking, if we look at this, based on what we see right here, these two angles are right across from each other, which means they're vertical angles, right? So these angles right here are vertical angles. And since they are vertical angles to each other, that means they're equal. Vertical angles are congruent, which means that I can write this as 80 equals 5x. Now, if I'm solving for x, I just divide by 5, and then I end up with x equals 16. So vertical angles which are across from each other are always congruent. So they're across from each other, which means that they're congruent. So that means x equals 16. This one is different. Notice the difference between these two pictures. This one is not vertical because they're not across from each other. They're next to each other. Across means they are not touching. Here they are touching. These form a linear pair. And if these form a linear pair, that means they add up to 180. So this one is going to be 80 plus 5x equals 180. They're adding up to give me 180 degrees. So now I'm going to solve this one by subtracting 80. So then I get 5x equals 100. So then I get x equals 20. Okay? What I want you guys to attempt as homework, okay? First off, you know you have your big ideas. So I'm going to stop recording here.